The ongoing history of protest songs. Clap your hands and sing along. Yeah, so apparently my videos got no hook with the introduction, so hopefully my singing is the hook. Otherwise, you think, who is this idiot? And you already stopped watching. So if that's the case. This video is not for you. But if you're still watching, then I love you. And if we ever meet in person, I'll buy you a coffee and give you a high five or the alcohol beverage of your choice. So previously, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video on the top 25 protest songs of the 60s. And then previously, I made a video of the top 25 protest songs of all time. So, what decade comes after the 60s? You are correct. It's the 70s. And that's what we're going to look at with this video. The top 25 protest songs of the 70s. And it's based on a longer list on my website, my first shameless plug, ongoing history of protest songs.com. So that's a list of the 100 best protest songs of the 70s. So, in many ways, the 70s rebuilt on the momentum of the 60s, particularly in relation to the Vietnam War. And also, civil rights remained a pressing issue, which we highlighted the racial tensions of the era. But also in the United States, soul music really became the dominant genre for raising social consciousness. While in the UK, the rise of punk rock offered a platform for disillusioned youth to challenge the established norms. So now we'll get into the list, but just one thing to note on the top 100 list, I narrowed it to 3 songs per artist. But for the top 25, this video, I decided to limit it to just one song. So because of that, the top 25 in the video is going to be slightly different than what appears on the website. So we'll first get into it. We got song number 25. It's Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2 by Pink Floyd, released in 1979. So this is part of the iconic concept album, The Wall. And the song re-critiques the restrictive nature of conventional education and explores the journey of the protagonist, Pink. And Pink reconstructs a metaphorical wall around himself as a response to the traumas he endures. So this particular song incorporates a children's choir who sing the memorable lyrics, "We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teachers, leave them kids alone. Hey, teachers, leave us kids alone." So I'm sorry, the bad singing, can't help myself. But yeah, that children choir singing that, the leave us kids alone, we don't need no education. It really confronts authoritarianism within schools, and it really transforms the song into a compelling anthem of defiance against oppressive authority. So we now got song 24, Ball of Confusion. That's what the word is today. Hey, hey. No, that's not part of that's the lyrics, not the title. So yeah, Ball of Confusion by the Temptations, released in 1970. So this classic Motown protest song was written by Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong. And that songwriting duo, we played a huge role in helping the legendary vocal group go in a more psychedelic and political direction. So this hit single addresses issues such as racial tensions, gun violence, and drug abuse, along with other social ills. So sadly, these issues continue to be relevant. So we now got song 23, Machine Gun by Jimi Hendrix from 1970. So this anti-war protest song appeared on the live album Band of Gypsies. It was created in the wake of the Vietnam War, and it captures themes of violence and the effects of conflict on people and families. So Hendrix's innovative guitar playing, which simulated machine gun fire, it really offered a compelling reflection on the futility of war and the pain it inflicts. So now we got song 22, I Can't Write Left-Handed by Bill Withers, released in 1973. So this is from the album Live at Carnegie Hall. And this powerful anti-war protest song was crafted in response to the Vietnam War, and it captures the experience of a returning young soldier who suffered the consequences of war. So Riddle employs these soldiers' inability to write with his left hand as a metaphor for the struggles and sense of disconnection that soldiers endure during wartime. So this emphasizes how war affects individuals without fully grasping the broader reasons behind it. Because after all, with the draft, people didn't understand why they were fighting in the war. And quite often, it was individuals that came from poor backgrounds. It wasn't the rich elite. So this song kind of captures the senselessness of the war. And it really is an emotional, gripping song. I get goosebumps every time I listen to it. So we now got song 21, What is Truth by Johnny Cash, released in 1970. So this anti-Vietnam tune also took a supportive view of young people who questioned authority and chose to go against societal norms. So the lyrics also warn the older generation that the ones that you're calling wild are going to be the leaders in a little while. Also, Cash famously and defiantly performed this song at the White House when President Richard Nixon requested a couple more conservative leaning country songs. So, yes, Johnny Cash was always a rebellious badass that was going to go against basically the expectations that people had of him. And for someone that came from like a country music background, he was actually progressive with a lot of his political views. So we now got Psalm 20. We were all wounded at Wounded Knee by Redbone, released in 1973. So this poignant tune by the Native American rock band, who is most known for their epic, catchy hit, Come and Get Your Love, which has also got a lot of attention because of being in Guardian of the Galaxy. So Come and Get Your Love, absolute banger. But this song is also a banger in a different way. So this song is a reflection on the historical injustices faced by Indigenous people. We highlighting the tragic events at Wounded Knee in 1890. So the song was an international hit, but it didn't chart in the US. And this is partly due to record label resistance and several radio stations banning the tune due to the controversial subject matter. So throughout the song, Redbone pleads for reconciliation, making it a powerful anthem for Indigenous rights. So we now got song 19, Ku Klux Klan by Steel Pulse, released in 1978. So the Roots reggae band, hailing from Birmingham, England, played a significant role in the UK's rock against racism movement in the 70s. And the one cool thing about that movement, like the series of all concerts, they quite often had a mix of punk acts and reggae acts. So that was kind of cool. And seeing how the two kind of influence each other. So this particular song, which was featured on their album, Handsworth Revolution, and I love the title track as well. But this tune's a powerful protest anthem with an infectious bass line, and that bass line, it enhances the anti-racism themes. So song 18, Legalize It by Peter Tosh, released in 1976. So after Tosh left the Wailers, he started his solo career with this song that would become a timeless pro-ganja anthem. So this track is a powerful critique of the Jamaican anti-cannabis laws, which led to Tosh arrest for engaging in Rastafari ceremonial smoking. So for Chill Groove, Tosh highlights not only the health benefits of marijuana, but he also highlights its broad appeal, noting that judges smoke it and even the lawyers do. So, yes, individuals that are throwing those using it in jail are using it themselves. So, we got that kind of hypocrisy there, which we quite often see among the political elites. So, we now got song 17, Manifesto by Victor Jara, released in 1974. So Jara was a leading figure in Churi's, and hopefully I pronounce this right, Churi's Novaya Canicon. I think I got the Canicon wrong. But basically, it's translated to English as New Song. So this movement, it was a left-leaning social movement, but it was also a music genre. So it was basically Chilean protest music. So Joe himself, he was really very instrumental in pioneering this movement. And Joe's song combined socialist ideals with personal insights. So this really made him a powerful voice for the country's marginalized communities, and it really earned him global recognition as a folk artist. So this song was one of the last tunes he penned before his tragic detainment and murder under the Pinochet regime. So it was basically released after he was murdered, because so he died on September 16th, 1973. So this song celebrates the transformative power of music in the hands of everyday people. So we now got song 16, Impeach the President by the Honey Drippers, released in 1973. So this was recorded by a group of Black high school students from New York, and it was assembled by Georgia-born songwriter Roy C. Hammond. So when record labels refused to release it, Hammond self-released it. And since then, it has become a frequently sampled funk classic. Like you hear it a lot in different hip hop tunes. So the song itself, it was a plea to impeach then US President Richard Nixon. But since it stopped short of naming the president by name, it could apply to any president. Notably, there was an increase in streams during the 2019 impeachment inquiry for Donald Trump. So we now got song 15. Don't worry, if there's a hell below, we're all gonna go by Curtis Mayfield, 1970. So Curtis Mayfield helped compose the soundtrack of the 1960s civil rights movement with the inspiring anthems he recorded with the impressions, such as Keep Pushing, People Get Ready, and We're a Winner. But on his 1970 debut solo album, Curtis, he adopts an edgier approach. So this song is a warning about American race relations. So Mayfield makes it clear that if society doesn't get its act together, all hell will break loose. Also, the fuzz bass just doesn't sound funky, but it also provides an ominous apocalyptic feel. We got song number 14, God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols, released in 1977. So this iconic punk anthem was featured on the band's influential album, Never Mind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols. So the lyrics, they serve as a strong critique of the monarchy, labeling it as a fascist regime. And unlike many protest songs that are a call to action, the lyrics convey a nihilistic warning message, even highlighted by the lyrics, no future. So we got song 13, Sam Stone by John Prine, released in 1971. So this is on Prine's excellent self-titled debut. And on the debut, he actually penned several socially conscious tunes, including a couple in response to the Vietnam War. But the standout track is arguably Sam Stone, which relates the story of a Purple Heart receiving soldier who struggles with drug addiction and dies from an overdose. So the song is a cautionary tale of the tragic effects of PTSD on returning veterans. So we got song 12, War by Edwin Starr. So in protest music, being subtle is often overrated. So this song, composed by the iconic Motown songwriting duo Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong, this anti-war anthem was actually originally recorded by the Temptations. So it initially appeared on the Temptations' 1970 album, Psychedelic Shack. And their version did receive some attention, and many college students wrote to Motown requesting that the song be released as a single. But the label was a bit concerned about a politically explicit single being linked with the legendary group. So instead, they had the lesser known Starr record it. And Starr's version has more of an edge than the Temptations version. And his passionate vocals well conveyed the message. So it became a massive hit, helping dispel the notion that Motown's boss, Barry Gordy, had about political music being commercial suicide. That's something that's actually interesting because there's actually quite a number of classic Motown protest songs, despite the fact that Barry Gordy quite often had reservations about them. But generally, if an artist stuck with the guns, he would cave in. So another shameless plug on my website, there's actually a list of 16 Motown protest songs and also a list of 15 Temptation protest songs. So you can check those out as well. And speaking of Motown, we got song 11, You Haven't Done Nothing by Stevie Wonder, released in 1974. So this featured background vocals from the Jackson 5. And this funky anti-Nixon tune is from the album Fulfilling This First Finale. So because the lyrics stop short of naming the president, it continues to stay relevant. It's an evergreen tune because the lyrics can apply to any number of political leaders. So basically, any politician that does nothing to benefit their constituents, the song is about them. So that'll take us to our next song number 10, Zombie by Fela Kuti in the Africa 7, released in 1976. So this Afrobeat classic is a 12-minute epic takedown of the corrupt Nigerian government. So the symbolic use of zombies was used to denounce the tactics of the Nigerian military, which led to 1,000 soldiers attacking the compound which housed Kuti's family, bandmates, and recording studio. So this attack resulted in the murder of his mother. So in protest of this vicious attacks, Kuti had the coffin of his mother delivered to the main army barracks in Lagos. So he addressed this in his 1981 composition, Coffin for Head of State. So song number 9, Right Riot, The Clash. So you can see that on my shirt there. The Clash, the only band that matters. So this is the debut single from one of the most important bands in the history of socially conscious music. So the lyrics refer to the 1976 riots at Notting Hill Carnival, which both Joe Strummer and Paul Simeon were involved. So the riot was in response to London's Caribbean residents being victims of racist policing practices. So the song speaks out against white passiveness, encouraging those with privilege to use it to help the marginalized. So basically, it was a song about allyship. So we now got song number 8, The Pill by Loretta Lynn, released in 1975. So this could also be considered a contender for one of the most controversial protest songs of all time, especially in light of Lynn being a mainstream country artist and country being considered a conservative genre. So she recorded the tune in 1972, but due to religious and conservative opposition to the birth control pill, her record company blocked her from releasing it. And when the tune was finally released in 1975, many country radio stations banned it. So even though it didn't do as well on the Billboard country charts as her earlier singles, It did become our biggest crossover hit on the US Billboard pop charts. So the tune became an important sexual liberation anthem, which is still relevant in light of the ongoing battles for women's reproductive rights. So we now got song 7, Get Up, Stand Up by the Wailers. So this appears on the Wailers' classic album, Burnin', which was the final album before becoming known as Bob Marley and the Wailers. So Marley was inspired to write this stirring anthem after witnessing poverty on a trip to Haiti. So Bob Marley's wide appeal allowed his songs of protest to be exported beyond Jamaica. So even if you don't identify with Marley's political and Rastafarianism religious ideology, the sentiments of an anthem like get up, stand up for your rights are universal. So throughout the world, there are oppressive forces that need to be stood up against. So we got song number 6, Working Class Hero by John Lennon, released in 1970. So while some of Lennon's protest songs are more direct, they can also come across as simplistic sloganeering. But this tune from the album John Lennon slash Plastic Ono Band is a thoughtful commentary on class splits and how the system is designed to turn individuals into cogs in the machine. And it also analyzes how media and religion play a role in indoctrinating the masses. Number 5, or Bondage Up Yours by X-Ray Specs, released in 1977. Some people think little girls should be seen and not heard. So that's the introduction to this feminist anthem by X-Ray Specs. So due to what some have mistaken as literal BDSM terminology, the tune was banned by the BBC, but the lyrics were influenced by the personal experiences of lead singer and songwriter Pauly Styron, who in a 2008 Mojo magazine interview stated, I come from a religious background, and in the scriptures, the whole idea of being liberated is to break free from bondage. So the tune and the band has since become an important precursor to the Riot Grrrl movement of the 90s. So we got song 4, Ohio, by Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. So decades before social media, this was the 1970s equivalent of an immediate viral response. So Neil Young wrote Ohio in the wake of the May 4th, 1970 Kent State massacre, when the National Guard unit, which is referred to in the lyrics as tin soldiers, opened fire on students protesting the US invasion of Cambodia. So that resulted in the death of 4 dead in Ohio. So the anti-Nixon and anti-war song was released in 1970, becoming both a massive hit and a timeless counterculture anthem. And it can also serve as a reminder, because even now, You got President Trump, who's not afraid to send the National Guard to different blue cities, which has the potential of creating a modern day Kent State situation. So we now got song 3, War Pigs by Black Sabbath, released in 1970. So this ass-kicking anti-war tune was by the Godfathers of Metal, and it's off their classic sophomore album, Paranoid. So the lyrics indict the corporate war machine that profits off the blood of the poor. So this anthem of righteous indignation continues to be relevant. So according to bassist Geezer Butler, the song was made to show that war is the big Satan. So yes, mission accomplished. So we got song number 2, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised by Gil Scott Heron, released in 1971. So originally, a stripped down version of this proto rap classic appeared on Scott Heron's 1970 live album, Small Talk, at 125th and Lenox. But the more well known full band version appeared on his 1971 studio album, Pieces of Man. So, based on a popular slogan of the Black Power movement, and in response to the Last Poets 1970 spoken word classic, When the Revolution Comes, the lyrics express the media's failure to cover real world issues, and true change is going to happen when the media isn't covering it. So some of the references may be dated, but the sentiments are timeless. And also, this has to be considered very foundational in the evolution of political hip hop. So we can see how it influences artists like Public Enemy and KOS-One. So we got song number 1, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, 1971. So the title track from the classic album is one of the most yearning protest songs ever written. So the tune was co-written by the Four Tops, Ronaldo Benson, and Gaye. So Benson's inspiration was the news reports of police brutality that were happening at student anti-war protests. Gaye also had a personal connection. His brother Frankie was a Vietnam veteran who returned home and was struggling to adjust to new realities. So Gaye had to butt heads with Motown founder Berry Gordy to get the song released as a single. But thankfully, he stuck to his guns and won that battle. And it's a timeless classic that continues to be relevant. So that concludes the list. So what do you think of the list? Any songs that you thought were excluded? What are your personal favorite protest songs of the 1970s? Feel free to let me know in the comments. And as previously mentioned, you can check out the full list of the 100 best protest songs of the 70s on the website Ongoing History of ProtestSongs.com. If you want me to continue making content like this, please like and subscribe. And Roxy, if you're watching, I give you a big shout out. So thanks for watching, and please stay safe. And the song, it was a plea to impeach, sorry, getting tongue tied. Blah, 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 blah. Get it again.
Whoa! Good God, y'all! What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again.